All right, good evening. Can you hear me okay? No? Josh, can you turn me up? Okay. Yeah, it's on. Yes, it is on. Welcome. Good evening. If you want to grab some pizza, we're going to get going in about a minute and a half. Exactly. You can keep talking if you'd like. That's typical. I usually kill the vibe. Okay. Wow, you got some pizza there. All right. All right, we're going to get into it because we have a packed evening. If you didn't notice, a couple housekeeping things. First of all, there's pizza back there. And welcome if you're new, your first meeting. I'm Mike Ware, the Executive Director of Operations. And we have Danny Randall and Christina Irish over here that are going to be supporting. Our Communications Director, Maggie, is not with us today. She's at a conference. And so, a couple housekeeping things. Pizza's back there. Restrooms, if you go out to the store and take a right and go down a football length distance, you'll find some restrooms on your left hand side. We are being live streamed, so just FYI. So if you do have a question or have a comment, if you wouldn't mind waiting for the mic so our audience could hear, that'd be great. Um, we did move this meeting to 2 hours. So if you hopefully you saw that memo. If you have to leave by 7:30, that's totally fine. We are going to try to go all the way to 8. I think we might push that a little bit. So we may have to move some activities to the next meeting. I'm hopeful for that. Um, you have a bunch of paper that is on your tables. These just keep those there right now. Don't take them with you if you start moving around. Those are building specific, and we'll get into the details of what those papers are, those reports are. But as we talked about the last meeting, I'll quickly summarize. We did basically an intro of what this process looks like, what our norms are, what are kind of our next steps and our timeline. We have some follow up from last meeting that we want to do real quick, and then we're going to get into some of the work. You will be moving around a little bit, so just be prepared for that, and we'll put you to work for most of the meeting. But I'm going to turn it over to Danny real quick so she can talk about a few things.
Thank you. Okay, so for those of you that were here last time, we went over the meeting norms. I'll just run through it quickly again. Please make sure and ask questions. Feel free to interrupt, raise your hand. Like Mike said, we are live streamed, so one of us will run the mic over to you. But make sure you are interrupting and asking questions when anything comes up. Some of this stuff is a little bit of a deep dive into things that maybe you're not super familiar with, and everybody else is probably thinking the same thing. So feel free to ask, provide your input whenever you have any, and then also let's just make sure that we are allowing space for everybody to provide input when they have some, so we can get out of here on time. Um, Last meeting, there was a little bit of there was a lot of questions that were kind of pointing to the future as far as where we're at in the timeline. So I just wanted to make sure that we could be on the same page about the function of this specific committee. So this is our makeup of the pre-bond timeline. So we have already done the work on the facility conditions assessment, which is what we're deep diving into today. We've done community polling and population studies. Those are all things that we will be bringing up in the later meetings. And now we have this wonderful group, thank you for being here, which is our long range facility planning committee. So ultimately, this is just to be prioritizing what we will spend funds on if we are awarded a school bond. So the rest of the things, as you can see, go on. We will be doing more community polling, asking for more community feedback. And then eventually down the line, if we do decide to move forward with the bond, that's where we're going. But right now it's more just to open up the conversation and see what the priorities of the community are. Oh, hold on, sorry, one more thing. On your table, you have a list of questions. So we printed these out in hopes that we would be able to address them at the end of the meeting. We're a little unsure on how much time we're going to have, but if you have a chance to scan them, essentially this committee is here to answer these questions. So if you have a chance to look over them, maybe think about what your priorities are, what your hopes are for the school district and the facilities that what the future of our facilities look like. This is kind of a great jump start into what we're going to be thinking about and discussing later in the meeting.
Thank you. We wanted to provide a little bit more information about how we have money for our facilities. So we have pretty much two pockets of money. Our general fund, which is our operating budget, that's how we maintain our facilities. And that's for items under 10,000 and already existing items. And then we have our capital projects funds, which we get CET money, construction excise tax, from the city and from the county. And we get this for every permit that is issued in our area. And I just gave you some historical of how that has trended the last 3 years, and then where we're at currently this year. So we are relatively low this year as of now. So and this is for items, brand new items or items over 10,000. It's a little gray, but that's what our standard is that we try to do. Yes. Wait.
When you say that we're low for now, I mean, the graph shows that. Is that a projected by year end or just where we are at so far?
Great question. That is where we're at currently as of February 28th, 2023, which is historic. When going back, it's low compared to those last 3 years at that time. At that time, as of February 28th of all those years, we're lower this year.
Okay, and again, one more follow-up. I just want to take about 2 minutes on this. A couple questions came up around the same theme about what's the timeline after the bond is passed. And again, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We're not even near that yet. We still have to build our bond package. We have to present it to our superintendent, our board of directors, and they make the decision whether we go or not. So this is all hypothetical. I want to make sure that's clear on there. But as you can see, and it's kind of hard because there's a lot in there, but your timeline, and I'm just going to go kind of quick. If we were to pass the bond and start moving, we go into sell mode, sell the bonds, and start forming our oversight committee. The next few stages are developing RFPs for firms to support our journey through a capital construction project or bond projects, and that is project management. So if we're going to hire a firm to be a project manager, that is forming firms from architectural and engineering design, because that's when we start building our true plans, as some people asked last time. You know, what the plans will look like, what will a new high school or an extension to a high school would look like, how do we redo the piping at River Mill. So all those things kind of go into play prior to any kind of project starting. There's some decisions that we would need to be making, whether we're going to do a CMGC process or an open bid or design build rather. Again, going into this is very kind of high level here with this process, but at the same time, I just wanted to give you a sense of where we're at. If everything kind of aligned the way we wanted to, in a perfect world, and our timelines are fairly close based off what we know how long an RFP could take, selection, bringing it to the board for approval, potentially starting projects in the summertime of 2025 is where we would aim if we went out for a bond in 2024 and we're successful. Right? So that's just again, and we'll share these slide decks with you tonight or after this meeting so you can look at that in more detail. Any questions on that? Great. Okay, so we're going to get you up and moving here in a second. Last time we met, we started talking about what our core values or our vision is, our goals for this as we start building our projects or our bond packages, our prioritization package. A lot of things listed here was mentioned within the group: safety, rethinking space, technology, outdoor space, flexibility, special education, occupational learning, so like CTE. So we compiled that. We added a few extra based off just previous experience. And we now have them all over here on this back wall. So each poster here is one of those particular areas. And Josh, can I walk back there? Will you be able to track me? Okay, thank you. So what we're going to have you do, excuse me, you all have pens and markers up there, but we'll have you go to each poster, and each poster has that overarching theme, so safety. And underneath there are bullet points of what safety means based off of what we've heard from our community input, from your input, from our students, from our parents, our staff. If you don't see something that you think should be on there, you are welcome to write something on there. No problem. You have pens, that's not a problem. You can make this dirty. This is for us to do some work. But at the end of the day, for each poster, you get 3 check marks. And what we want to try to do is vote this so we can start gauging our priorities. If you come to safety and you find 3 that you want, or you want to put all 3 on improved traffic around schools, put your 3 check marks there. Go to the next one. We'll have you do the same thing. And then we'll tally up by the overarching theme of each one by votes and be able to tally that up and prioritize. If we all come out and say, okay, safety's definitely there, that got 50 votes, that's number 1. And then number 2 could be character and feel, depending on the votes. Okay, so this is your time to give us your voice on what you feel is a priority. Again, if we're missing anything in any of these areas, feel free to write it in and put your check mark. Okay, if you see a theme or a title that you don't see one, rather, if you don't see a theme, let me know and we can put up a post-it note paper and we can add to it. Okay, so you have any questions before I get you guys moving? Yes, each person. Yes, each person, please. Yeah, each person gets 3 check marks. This is going to take a few minutes, right? No, per poster. Sorry, 3 check marks per poster. So I get 3 here, I get 3 here, I get 3 here, right? So you get 3 check marks per poster. Sorry, be a little more clear on my explanation. Any other questions? Huh? Upper and lower, they're all different, right? There's 11 different posters, 11 different topics or themes, right? So we're going to give you about 7-8 minutes. If we need a little more time, that's fine, but we'll get you going. Ready, set, go. Feel free to take your time. We're going to give you as much time as you need. If we can, we're going to try to wrap up in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. About 2 minutes, if we can, wrap up, please. All right, we can kind of start wrapping her up. We can get back to tables over there. I appreciate the thoughtful work. All right, as they're finishing up over there, please continue to go over there and vote if you need to. Christina and Danny will start compiling that process. Thank you for just taking that intentional time and doing that. I know that, you got to look through all those things. They were great questions, so I appreciate the questions and the clarifying ones. And we'll have a list towards the end. We're going to get into the meat of the meeting, which is our facility condition assessment. And I'll walk you through what the plan will be as clearly as I can and make sure I answer any questions. And we'll talk about, you have two different reports there. But as we start off, I did bring props just to show. And I showed the group this earlier at 5:30. This is a piece of wire that we pulled from under our high school in 2019. So the start of the fall school year in 2019, I was walking through the building with John and we noticed an interesting smell. And so we started looking into it and we had wire on fire underneath our building. And so we had to quickly shut down power that was controlling this wire that was leading from our main distribution over by the kitchen area all the way over to like the high school part of the building underneath the ground. And it's been there since it was installed. So from 1960s. And so when we pulled this out, which took 3 or 4 different winches because we broke them, it was all corroded. It was all melted like this. It was so tight to pull out. Like I said, we broke 3 winches trying to get it out from under the ground. We ended up having to reroute the wiring up above the roof and over. Significant amount of resources and money spent and time. But this gives you an idea, visual of what has been under our building due to just, again, time and what we have going on with our electrical. So just to kind of kick it off with FCA. What we're going to do, each table is a building in here. And so we're going to have you work at your table that you're sitting at, and then you're going to move when we ask you to move. I believe, what building are you here? Summit? Okay, so like Summit's here. You have 2 reports, and you're going to lead the reports as you move there. You have 2 reports. Report number 1 is going to say the school building. It's going to say the number 1 or number 2, and we're going to look at number 1, facility condition assessment. What you have on number 1 are all the high priority, pretty much non-negotiable items that we need to consider a part of our bond package because these things keep our buildings safe, warm, and dry. You'll see some associated graphs with those, and it's kind of hard to see, understand, but you'll see associated graphs with those that are figures associated to each asset type. So for example, most of what you have on priority 1 are all HVAC, all electrical, water, piping, and on the graphs, it's a visual of what needs to be replaced within 5 years. So I just wanted to set that tone that between 1 and 5 years, you can see at certain buildings, the significant resources need to be allocated towards that. I want to give you some time to look at priority 1, and then we'll talk about priority 2. But so that's priority 1. Really, I want you to talk amongst your group about that. See if you see anything that really jumps out, and we'll have a report back. This is where the priority 2, so the next report, this is where you'll get to do some work. The next report is everything under the sun or under the roof, if you will, for that building. So everything minus the high priority items in report 1. Yeah, so I'll back up. You have a sheet here that says, it looks like a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. It says, yep. So yeah, I haven't started yet. No, we're gonna look at number 2. Let me revisit this. So let me bring the group back real quick. So I see confusion. So priority, real quick, let me bring the group back. So assessment, when it says number 1 on this sheet here, right? These are the high priority, we have to do, non-negotiable, related to safe, warm, dry schools. That really relates to HVAC, electrical, uh, plumbing, domestic water. Underneath that report should be a graph or two graphs that represent the money that would it cost to replace those high priority items, broken out by their section. So for example, HVAC or electrical. So what we haven't got to that point yet. Yeah, we haven't got to that point yet. Yep. That is for that first report is really to give you a sense, and you'll get a chance to review it. Now, report two. Let's talk about report two real quick, guys. Yeah. All right. Report two. So report two, this is where you're going to do the work. Okay. All right. Report two is where you're going to be able to look at all the things that were under the roof outside of those high priority items. So things like flooring, things like lighting, things like expansion or items that they identified, roofing systems if they're in there, right? Things that are related to the facility condition assessment that they completed, our firm completed this winter, are right here. It's associated with a few different things. You have the building, you have your asset section, and you can go down the list. The things that you will need to kind of look at are your estimated observed remaining life. And then the next column is estimated replacement date based off that remaining life. There are notes, asset condition. If you recall from the last meeting, asset condition 1 being is the best, 5 being is the worst. Occupant impact, again, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst, and that's occupants are our students. Estimated replacement cost. All right. So what we're asking you to do tonight in this second work group here is looking at us at number 2, report number 2. Based off what you did here, what your group or what you've determined as a goal for you, we need to start identifying areas within the second phase of this work that we want to prioritize.
Can I just clarify? So you have 2 reports. The first reports are non-negotiables. It's things that we have to do for our students, but we need input on what are the other things that we need to consider for our schools.
Okay.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you are giving them 2 reports because you're wanting them to see everything that has to be done.
Yes.
And then you are looking at the second report
Yes.
because that's what we need your input on.
Yeah, the first report is mainly for your information to see. We need to be done. Yes.
So, are we supposed to be thinking about the second report in the realm of we're not gonna like without a bond, or like this is
No.
what we're doing with the bond?
This would be building our prioritization package for a bond.
This is how we're trying to get to the bond amount that we are going to ask for. So if we're going to go for school, the non-negotiables, and what else is your guys' priority, that's what we're looking for, is what our bond package is going to be.
So as that relates to the bond amount, we had 3 different options. We had 107 or 106 or something, 109, somewhere in that ballpark, right?
Mhm.
We had a 60-ish, right?
Mhm.
And then was it 20 or 30-ish?
30-ish. And
39.
remember, those are not final numbers. That's just to get us an idea of where our community is going to be.
But as it relates to what we're looking at here is, if we do the 39, is it just the priority 1? And then priority 2 would be getting into all of 2s, the second page of this, or the second part of this. And then 3 would be a new school plus the whole mamma jamma.
Number 1 is the priorities. Mike, you can go.
So number 1, so bond package 39 million would be just high priority items, 1, maybe some 2s. What's that? It's a Band-Aid. It replaces, fixes some of the systems, but doesn't address some key concerns: capacity, infrastructure, expansion of CTE, et cetera. Bond package number 2 at that 69 million, sorry. That gets us potentially a high school or a elementary school and some more things off the list, right? Bond package number 3 gets us that additional high school, potentially, and more things off this list. What we need to do and what we know we can't do is everything on that list and a building. So what we're asking the group, and this is part of the process, is that we need us to start looking through report number two, and start finding areas that, yes, this is important. We need to address this. The flooring at Clackamas River Elementary is a safety concern. It's cracking. There's structural issues that needs to be addressed. That's reported in. That's put in this report here. Okay. Exterior doors at the high school are a major concern. They can be easily ripped open. Some of you know this because you might have done it. uh, or you notice because it just happens. Our doors are very easy to open here. That's a major concern. That's not on priority one list though. And so that's kind of what we're asking. And we do have large post-it paper that we'll give you so you can write down your areas that you want to help us focus on. No, if you don't, please don't write anything on those. And it's okay if you did, but
And we're not necessarily looking for an exact line item on there that the specific type of flooring. You can generalize it to flooring overall or those things. You don't get too far into each line item.
Okay, one more clarifying question about the chart. Some of these things have like 1 year of life left, and some have a lot. So can we assume the ones that have like 30 years?
may not be a high priority, right?
Right.
May not be
Okay.
something we
Why
want
are
to put
they
in
on
the
here? Okay.
package. And so when that they have to put all that, right? When they do their observation or condition assessment, they're going to say your HVAC has 30 more years. It's going to be replaced in 2040. This is what it's going to cost then, right? And so you hit it right there. We probably don't want to consider that. We may want to consider the 1 to 5 year stuff, maybe a couple 10 years if we get lucky. Okay, thank you.
If we get the largest package, would that include all of these or only the ones, like how much money do we have set aside with that largest package for these
Yeah.
items?
So a new high school as of right now projected about $89 million. If we went 109, that gives us 20 million for extras. There's about 31 million right there that you're looking at. Including priorities, not including soft costs, which are engineering, permitting, architectural stuff. In the next 10 years, we have 60 million in need. Okay, so that, to answer your question there, it wouldn't take all of it. It would take some of it, but not all of it. So we're going to walk around and get you some pieces of paper, and you guys can get going and talking. We'll give you about 7-8 minutes because we have 7 tables that you need to visit, and that's about an hour or so that we need to get through. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to take about another 2-3 minutes. I know that's not a lot of time, but we need to move you through each building. Okay, we're going to have to move you in 30 seconds. All right, wrap up on what you're writing down, and we'll have you move counterclockwise. So your team, your team here will go to this table. Okay, this table goes to Ben. Ben go to the CRE, and then Ben, you guys will come here after that one when we rotate you. You guys are moving there. They're moving to one more. But yeah, leave the papers, please. About 2 more minutes. Okay, if you're done writing some things up, we're going to have you move over. Ben's group there, you're going to go to the middle. Middle. I know it's not a lot of time, and we'll discuss some next steps so you can dive more into it. Okay, we need to rotate you, please. Rotate. You guys are gonna go with this down there. You got about 5 minutes. Okay, we're going to need to move you to your next table, please. Sorry.
Oh, can we get our stuff up there?
Okay, we're gonna have to rotate. You got 2 more tables and only about 20 more minutes or so. So rotate. Okay, we're gonna move one more time. We're moving a little quick because we got to get going. Some people are tired. They're giving me the angry look. We got kids, yes. Last table, and then we'll go back to the original table and wrap up. Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap her up. If you want to move to your last or go to your original table, we're gonna wrap up and talk about a few things. Okay. Any thoughts on that process? Other than that's a lot. That's a lot. A lot to handle. As Jenny said, it's a little depressing, but I appreciate you going through it. There's a lot to go through in a short amount of time. We will have a second meeting. Obviously, we have a couple more meetings coming up to dive more into this, to consolidate some of the lists that you put in there. I did hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we do want some more time looking at this. We did find some variances or discrepancies that we need to clean up, which I'll do before our next meeting, and go from there. But the goal was to get you working and get you thinking. I think we got that. We accomplished that tonight. And I appreciate all the feedback that you guys gave us, what we need to make adjustments to, especially in the form itself. The next meeting is scheduled for April 6th. It's a Thursday after conferences. That is a read week. We will, right now, what I'm being told is that's the proposed date, and it'll be a 2-hour meeting as well. Maggie Kelly will reach back out, make sure we get those on the calendars. If there's a lot of declines, we'll probably have to pivot. 6th, which is a Thursday. Same place, same time. Any other comments? I can get you guys out of here because it's almost 8 o'clock. Yes, thank you. We will meet at Rivermill Elementary at the next meeting to do a quick school tour. We did one here at the high school at 5:30. We just did a quick overview of some of the bigger needs. We will meet at Rivermill next time. We'll do the same thing, probably a little shorter since we have to get back over here. But it's an opportunity to see just inside the building, get your eyes on it, and ask questions while we go through it. So that'll be at 5:30 on the 6th at Rivermill Elementary, right at the front. We'll go from there, okay? Assessment online? No, it's not online yet, not yet. And someone told me that I shouldn't put it online because it's overwhelming. It is a lot. It is a lot. We need to beautify it. The executive summary is, so that's on there. Yeah, so we're gonna push that to next meeting. I do want you to take those questions home with you, to just think about after today. Consider, maybe ask some more questions. These are kind of talking points that we'll go through as a work group and have people report out. We just didn't get to it today, but a lot of things that we need to start, again, we need to talk about, are we thinking all this plus elementary, all this plus high school? What does that look like for elementary going to the middle school? Is that an appropriate place for elementaries? How do we make that an appropriate place for elementary if we went high school route? Those are all big things to consider, and impact the function or the spending of the bond. So we need to get to that level, and that's what next meeting will be like. We only have a few more to go because we need to do more POP study, or the population study is going to be coming up here shortly, and that'll be a big conversation on capacity. Okay. Thank you. Have a good night. Take pizza. Hey.